Honorable Mundubile, good afternoon. Welcome to the program, and how are you doing?
Good afternoon to you. Thank you for hosting me, and it's a good afternoon to all the viewers.
All right. Honorable, firstly, to kick off our discussion, let us talk about the just ended the Kasama by-elections, in which the member that was fielded in under Tonse Alliance with the Special Purpose Vehicle, FTD, came out with 9,425 votes, while the UPND has won the Kasama mayoral by-election seat with 11,430 votes. Let us talk about the loss by your candidate under the Tonse Alliance, who came out with 9,425 votes. How's this loss settled in with you?
Well, first of all, I would like to commend the residents of Kasama, both from Kasama Central Constituency and indeed Lukasha, for their support. I was on the ground together with my other colleagues, and I followed the events very closely. I know that the FDD candidate, Peter Yuda, actually won that election. As usual, Mingalato came into play. As I speak to you now, we have lost the election, but we know the result. The UPND have reportedly won that particular election. They also know the result. We are very comfortable because we know the actual result. UPND, despite winning, quote unquote, should be very uncomfortable and worried. They know the actual result in there. Our team is gathering pieces of evidence. Some of it will come out on social media not very long from now. You actually laugh at how that election has been rigged. Yeah.
What are the actual results, since you know what the results are?
Not the actual. We just want somebody sent us something where the results coming from individual streams from a particular polling center aggregated the FDD candidate with a clear lead. But when these results are being announced, they've actually been twisted. A person who had 400 votes is now given 100 and something votes, and the person who had lost got over 400 votes. So that is just but one example. I was just looking at it as I was coming here. So our team on the ground is busy putting this evidence together so that we show it to the nation and exactly what this win for the UPND is all about. Yeah, but like I said, we put up a very good campaign team. We put up some very good campaign messages, and a number of colleagues, that joined the campaign, people like Chimba Kambwidi, George Sanga, Honorable Kampiongo, Honorable Mutaya Chalo, Honorable Kapianga, many other people, Honorable Kafwaya, they put up a very good fight. The response from the people was overwhelming. It was actually a precursor to the August general elections. We're very confident and sure that Northern Province will come to Tonse Alliance.
I mean, obviously, we're coming from the Chawama by-election, Honorable Mundubile, and just after the Chawama by-election came the Kasama mayoral by-election as well, in which you think the election was rigged. We were following through with the results last night and spilling into this morning as well, where obviously the Patriotic Front or members of the Tonse Alliance were hopeful that their candidate would win that by-election. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Now that you think this election was rigged, what is your next step?
Well, of course, too early to say. For and on behalf of the Alliance, we want to look at, we've got cases of violence. Our vehicles have been smashed. People showing up with guns, attacking our members at the Tottling Center. A number of our people have been injured in those through those violent attacks. And now we're getting this information regarding the announcement of results, where results are clearly swapped when they're being announced. Yeah, so once the evidence has been put up, these are reports that we're receiving from Kasama. So as an alliance, who sit together and then decide the way forward. Yeah, whatever the case, this is an election year. We will not waste time. We know what the actual result is on the ground. And we will be getting back into Kasama to go and announce, to go and thank the people of Kasama for their support. And at the same time, of course, we have set up teams in various areas that are beginning to train people on voter protection. What has happened in Kasama is not unusual. The UPND, like I will tell you, have never won a single by-election from the time they came into power. Yeah, they've only manipulated. Chawama, they tried, but it was too close to town. Okay, people were responding. Everybody was there to respond to the machinations. If you look at Lukasha, you will have 100 kilometers in one direction from the CBD, another 120 in the other direction. You're talking about Lukasha constituency. Yeah, so that spread was a big challenge for our people. You needed to have so many vehicles. Those of our security that tried, including George Chisanga, were almost killed yesterday, by UPND cadres that followed them up over 50, 60 kilometers on the Mpika Kasama road. Their vehicles were smashed, and I think those pictures are already on social media.
What lessons, though, do you pick from the Kasama by-election, and especially that you mentioned that this is an election year? What do you think, as the Tonse Alliance, you can do better as we're headed towards the general election?
Yes, what we've done, we started a program of training locals in voter protection. So there are people that are on the ground going to villages and various areas, training them on voter protection. Because sometimes, due to constraints in logistics and other measures in transport, our people in those villages are overwhelmed. They do not know what to do. They see these cadres appearing in their vehicles, clad in masks, carrying guns, and so our people need to be trained on how they could peacefully protect the vote, as it were. Yeah, so those are some of the things that we are focused on. The messaging is very clear to all the Zambians. They know that the UPND need to go out of government, out of power this year. So there's no need to spend a lot of time to explain to the people how expensive fertilizer is, how expensive milling meal is, how expensive electricity is, and how this government doesn't care about the farmers, how the government doesn't pay the farmers. There's no need to explain all that because everybody knows. Yeah, so the focus really is just on how we're going to protect the vote by raising awareness and training people in these villages.
Honorable, during by-elections, mostly there's always been a notion that the ruling party will always carry the day because they have the resources. And we're going into an election. I mean, this is an election year. We're going towards the general election. And obviously, the question also that comes in is, does the opposition have even enough resources to beat the UPND in the general election, even the by-elections, of course, that we've had in the past?
Yes, I was actively involved in raising funding for the Kasama by-election, and I must commend our team here that the resources were meager. What we raised for Kasama was very, very little. And for them to achieve that result, they've done a commendable job. On the other side, if I were UPND, I would be very worried. We also have an idea of how much money they put into that campaign. It's the highest figure I've ever had put in one district for campaign. They spent a lot of money. Now, if for that money, let's get the best case scenario. Let's assume that they won genuinely, okay? The differentials in terms of votes was about 2,000. For the kind of money the UPND put in, the equipment, the vehicles, they should really be worried. That's the best case scenario. Of course, we know the actual details of what happened on the ground, But assuming it was a genuine win, they should be very worried if they can put in that money for that number of votes and that difference with the people that merely spent no money because they didn't have it. Yeah.
All right, let's get to our topic of discussion, Honorable Mundubile, talking about the Tonse Alliance. Of course, congratulations as a duly elected presidential candidate for the Tonse Alliance for 2026. Congratulations, Honorable.
Thank you very much to you.
And let's kick off our discussion by talking about what made you decide to, contest the top job of the Tonse Alliance.
Yes, you know that I've been a member of the Council of Leaders of the Tonse Alliance for the past 1 year. I have served in that position as the National Chairperson for Parliamentary Affairs. I was appointed to that position by President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. In that portfolio, State Council Chifumu Banda was appointed as a deputy, as my deputy. And of course, Professor Apostle Danpule has been serving as the vice chairperson of Tonse, and Comrade Zumani Zimba as the convener coordinator of Tonse. Yeah, so we have what we call a council of leaders, where leaders of various political parties and civil society organizations are represented. So that's basically where I have been sitting. So if you look at that, all along, the Patriotic Front was the anchor party of the Tonse Alliance. And all along, it was established in the founding documents, the constitution, that the PF will provide a presidential candidate under Tonse. Along the way, changes were made and amendments were made to the constitution. PF was no longer the anchor party for the Tonse Alliance. And PF was not to provide a presidential candidate. The position of presidency or chairperson of Tonse was now open to all alliance members. So if you ask me a question, why did I contest? In the first place, I was competing for presidency in PF, a party that I still belong to, so that I automatically ascended to Tonse president. I hope you get that. In the founding documents, original documents, the presidential candidate or the president for Tonse was to come from PF. So in order to ascend to presidency in Tonse, you needed to win presidency in PF. Okay? And through the guidance of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the unified candidate from the opposition was to come from Tonse. So that is the reason. The fact that I, in 2021, declared my intention to contest as President of the Republic of Zambia under PF before the party was grabbed by President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND. We ran through competing with other colleagues so that whoever emerged victorious would later be the presidential candidate under PF. When the PF was grabbed, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu formed Tonse as a special purpose vehicle that will now produce a unified candidate for the opposition to compete with President Hakainde Hichilema. So that is the reason. Yeah.
Let me take you back just a little bit. A few weeks back, you attended a virtual meeting within the Tonse Alliance that was chaired by Professor Danpule. Right?
That's correct.
Honorable Lubinda wasn't present in that meeting. According to Professor Danpule, everybody was made aware of that particular meeting that was supposed to be held at 16 hours on that day, but later moved to 18 hours. And the meeting went up to 22 hours. And according to Professor Dampule, the persons like you were present in that meeting. Honorable Kampiongo is one person that he mentioned. I think Honorable Jean Kapata as well. The next day, Honorable Lubinda described that meeting as illegal, as he wasn't present and not made aware of the meeting. I think there came confusion, issues to also expel you from the party for attending that illegal meeting. And from there, there was a resolve that the Patriotic Front, led by Honorable Given Luinda, should be not part of the Tonse alliance, and they were chessed, and you still remained part of the Tonse alliance. When that decision, Honorable, was arrived at, why did you see it fit for you to still stay back and be part of the Tonse alliance that was co-chaired by Professor Dan Pole?
Well, to start with, Tonse is governed by its constitution. The question may be to ask, was the meeting properly called? The answer is yes. There was no difference between the previous Tonse Alliance meetings and how they were called to this other meeting. Remember, Larissa, that we are looking at virtual meetings. The same person who's been sending notices to all of us for that meeting was the same person who sent notices to all of us. And our colleagues were campaigning in Chawama. They actually responded to the notice and requested that the meeting be held at 18 hours. What does that mean? It means the meeting was properly called, because that mayor asked for the meeting to be moved to a particular time. Was the meeting properly chaired? Yes, it was. Because the constitution of Tonse is very clear. In the absence of the chairman or the president, the vice chairperson chairs. So there are times that President Lubinda would chair that meeting, because the co-chair, who's Dan Pule, is not present. So, Professor Dan Pule properly chaired that meeting. And had he not been present also, the Council of Leaders would have chosen another person to chair the meeting. So there are no vacuums in the way that business is transacted under Tonse. It's not up to individuals. The absence of one individual cannot collapse the meeting at all. Yeah, so really for one to say the meeting was illegal, when is such a meeting illegal? A meeting is only illegal when it's not properly called, when there's no quorum, or maybe the person that was chairing the meeting was not competent or qualified under the constitution to chair the meeting. In this particular case, we had a quorum. In this particular case, a meeting was properly called. In this particular case, the person that chaired the meeting is a person that was competent to chair that meeting. So there was no illegality about that meeting, and I think that must be put very straight. So the other aspect, you see, in a meeting, colleagues have got to be they've got to get used to the fact that you don't go into a meeting with a predetermined outcome. You can go into a meeting and lose a vote. In that particular case, staying away from the meeting was not a solution. It actually became fatal. It was detrimental. So the agenda for the meeting was circulated. And one of the items on that agenda was that a PF would no longer continue as an anchor party. Everybody saw that in the next meeting there will be a petition that will be moved to remove PF as an anchor party. And secondly, to remove PF as a political party from the alliance. Now, when you hear it plainly like that, you know, it sounds clandestine, it sounds like there's a problem. Right now, the legal status of PF is held by strangers. So the contention, the argument from the colleagues who moved that particular motion was that if PF as a party was not removed from Tonse, my young brother Robert Chavinga one day would just show up and chair the meeting. We were looking at the mingalatos that have happened. So if you don't clarify the aspect of PF, the people that are running PF right now would simply come and scuttle the alliance. So alliance members presented their arguments. They presented their arguments to the effect that once the court matters and internal wrangles within the PF are resolved, PF as a party can be readmitted. Now, any reasonable person listening to that argument would actually agree to say some of the problems we've had in Parliament was that there were changes at registrar, and people came to Parliament to change the leadership in Parliament. I was removed as leader of opposition, Kampion was chief whip, and there was confusion. There's been confusion in Parliament. With the Mingala, it was under the UPND. If the alliance didn't maybe take that approach, who knows? Today, tomorrow, you'll have 300 officers appearing with this gentleman saying, I'm the president for Tonse. I've come to chair a meeting, and I've removed everybody from this. Or yeah. So basically, yes, we may not have been happy with the decision, but it was a decision of the Council of Leaders. It was a decision made by the Council of Leaders in a meeting that was properly constituted. Yeah. So the fact that we didn't like it does not mean the decision was illegal. The decision was properly made.
And why did you decide to stay in the Tonse Alliance?
Yeah, this is the part. From the beginning, maybe by way of background, if you go to the beginning, President Lungu himself, being a lawyer, he was wary of that fact. He said, if we put PF as a party in Tonse, these colleagues of ours in government will come after Tonse and disturb it. So from the beginning, unlike others who would comment carelessly, I'd been there from the beginning. I was one of the people that were crafting the rules of engagement. So I understood exactly what was in the founding documents. So PF as a party never appeared in the original documents for Tonse. What appeared there was what President Lungu called the ECL-PF aligned movement. So it's not a new term. That has been there from the beginning. So what President Lungu did is that under the ECL-PF aligned movement, the people coming under that category were defined. It was former ministers, former members of parliament, serving members of parliament, DCs, permanent secretaries, PF structures. Can you hear that? So when you go to the constitution, take interest to look at that. You realize that everybody, all well-meaning members of the PF actually qualify. Okay? So what you have removed is PF as a party. But all the structures and individuals who are well-meaning and loyal to ECL actually qualified. So my being in that council, I was appointed directly by ECL to the council. All right? Yeah. So once Tonse was formed, ECL handpicked some loyalists and appointed them directly to the Council of Leaders. I happen to be one of those. Yeah. So I have been a member of the council all along. So when people would call that Tonse an illegal one, honestly speaking, at my level and the position that I held in the council, don't you think I would have known whether that was illegal or not? Would you expect State Council Chifumo Banda not to know which one is an illegal Tonse? Honestly. Yeah, so people should not get confused with that. The same Tonse that President Edgar Chagolungu chaired and appointed us to the Council of Leaders is the same Tonse that I belong to. I've listed a couple of individuals. You would go back to the meetings, you still find all those people there.
Right. You have been called a betrayer, Honorable Mundubile. There are people who feel that you've always wanted the position that ECA held, and it was only time that you also took over that position as chairperson and presidential candidate of the Tonse Alliance, which was the position given to President Edgar Lungu, may his soul rest in peace. You speak about your loyalty to ECL, and others believe that you have betrayed ECL, and obviously those that have parted ways with the Tonse alliance that you're with right now, because they believe that they're also loyal to President ECL. Is the decision that you've taken to be presidential candidate, or rather to contest in the Tonse Alliance as presidential candidate for 2026, and also chairperson of the Tonse Alliance, is this decision selfish, or it is because you want to serve the people of Zambia and, of course, deliver on what ECL wanted, for the opposition?
Yes, no, I made the decision just to serve the people of Zambia. Like I said before, many of the people that are participating in this presidential race just appeared yesterday. Mm-hmm. I have been in this race since 2021. Mm. And I've never said it to you how I entered the race. I was actually told to enter the race by President Lungu himself. He himself invited me to say, I would like you to take over as president of the party. But throughout that period, until maybe now, I'm saying it to you, I did not go to anybody and say the president has asked me to take over from him in this party. He did not only tell me, there are several members of parliament that you can engage today that he engaged directly. No wonder you see senior members of the party, for instance, Davis Mwila, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, and many other senior members. He spoke to them directly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I didn't want to use that to campaign. And President Lungu simply said, look, this is my position. I will mention to a few senior officials, but I want you to earn it. You earn that position through your own campaign and engagement. And that's what I think I've done over the years. I earn the support from the members through the engagement, and not necessarily advancing the argument that no, Ninevaswantelewa Wakateka. So as to whether I betrayed him or not at all. We've had this protracted process to the convention. I want you to understand, others may come here and say, no, it's too fast. Mm-hmm. Maybe because they came yesterday. From the time we lost elections in 2021, you used to interview me here. You were interviewing me as a presidential candidate for the Patriotic Front. Honestly, it would be unfair for you today to come 5 years later and think that I'm in a hurry 5 years later. The term for it's a 5-year term for president, and so President Hakainde Hichilema went in 2021. I started campaigning in 2021, under the guidance of President Edgar Chagwa and the party. So if I make certain decisions to try and save Patriotic Front, to try and follow the guidance that was left by President Edgar Chagwa, that cannot be betrayal. The question maybe that you must ask, have I gone into another political grouping, political formation, away from what President Edgar Chagwa designed? The answer is no. I'm in this council, the same council for which I'm president now. President Lungu left me there. It would have been betrayal to stay away from this Tonse, walk away, and go and form another Tonse, leaving the people that President Lungu appointed and left in Tonse. He left Comrade Danpule in Tonse. He left Comrade Chifumbanda in Tonse. He left Zumani in Tonse. So if I had walked away as one of his lieutenants, who he had entrusted with the lofty position of chairperson for parliamentary affairs, that's a very strategic position, because I was literally in charge of all parliamentarians, council chairpersons, and the councillors across the country under Tonse. Had I walked away from that position, then it would have been betrayal. All I have done now, I decided to go a step higher by being president of that same council. So imagine with this structure, that the President Edgar Lungu left with us, and we allowed Tonse, maybe we boycotted and walked away, that would have been betrayal. So I moved in very swiftly to compete for that position, to save President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's legacy. Even those that are coming in with their own visions, they actually know that this was well meant. We are interacting with the same members President Edgar Chagwa Lungu left. We are not manufacturing any new members. We are not coercing new people to come and pretend there's another Tonse that exists from the real Tonse. So the issue there, Lavisa, was people should not fear competition. People must be ready to compete. One, you don't stay away from meetings. You run away from meetings. And decisions are made, you're the first ones to cry. Zambians are not ready for such leaders. Zambians are ready for courageous leaders who are able to face others and present the arguments. In the name of democracy, if you're in a council of leaders and the majority defeat you, like they did in the case of moving Patriotic Front from its central position, we had to agree. That's democracy. These are the rules that we set for ourselves. At that time, PF was at the center, meaning we had 15 leaders in the Council of Leaders. I want you to understand this. Had those members not stayed away from a properly constituted meeting, we would have argued our way and caused a vote to save PF in Tonse. But these leaders, first of all, began by changing the time. Let's meet at 18 hours. Had they come to that meeting, the 15 of us who were represented in the Council of Leaders would have defeated others because we had an inbuilt majority deliberately. Yeah, but because people had other motives, they had different motives, they decided to stay away from the meeting. Out of 15, only 5 or 6 people came to that meeting. You can't cry foul when a decision has been made out of a properly constituted meeting. Right. So to put it very straight, the meeting was properly called. The meeting had a quorum, and the meeting was properly chaired.
Honorable Mundubile, let me take you back to when President ECL decided to get back into active politics. One of his reasons for returning to active politics was that he wanted to restore the Patriotic Front. Right. He also wanted to unite the opposition, and he called for the opposition to be united and just so that you can serve the people of Zambia. President Lungu, before he passed and before he left for South Africa, we saw him joining OCA, and that was for the purposes of bringing the opposition together. We are looking at the Patriotic Front now that has been divided into 4. We have Honorable Given Luwinda, who's got a faction in the Patriotic Front. We've got Honorable Chawinga. We also now have Makebi Zulu, who also claims to be very loyal to President ECL. Then there is you now, who's heading Tonse Alliance. Honorable Makebi Zulu is now has been endorsed as presidential candidate for NCP. Are you per se, as leaders of the Patriotic Front, telling the people of Zambia that Patriotic Front is dead and we need to look for an alternative? And what are you doing as leaders to ensure there is reconciliation? Because this is what President Lungu died fighting for, a united opposition, for the party itself, Patriotic Front, to be restored. Do you think as leaders, with the decisions that you're making, that you are helping matters in restoring the party?
Well, first of all, you must understand that we are dealing with a compromised justice system. The matter concerning the PF has been dragging from 2023. We had even gotten to a point of signing a consent judgment with Comrade Sampa in a matter where I was the lead litigant, and we more or less concluded. But the courts continued with their mingalato and delays. Now, you have on one hand these court battles where you can clearly see this heavy hand controlling the judiciary. You have the people of Zambia. They come to this radio station to look for direction. They make calls on your programs. We want direction. So when you look at the PF membership is solid. They've remained united from that time, from the time that we lost elections. That is the reason why when we have national events, our membership clearly shows that we are the biggest political party in Zambia, not only opposition. The biggest political party in Zambia. We are bigger than the UPND. We are bigger than most of the other political parties in Zambia. They've remained united for one reason. They know very well that the party was unfairly grabbed. And as time went on, President Lungu came up with Tonse. You must wonder why. PF is there. Why is there Tonse? President Lungu, on his return to active politics, he said he was coming back, first of all, to save democracy, to save the PF, and also unite the opposition. Three things. So, in trying to bring up the opposition, of course, there was UKA, which failed, and later Tonse. This was to serve as an umbrella where political parties would come together. Political parties will agree together on a special purpose vehicle to carry a presidential candidate. So the interests of the PF were protected at that point, because PF was to be the anchor party. PF was to provide a presidential candidate for Tonse. Don't forget that. Don't depart from that. What that means is that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu knew very clearly that the unified candidate from the opposition will go on the Tonse ticket. Okay? Using a special purpose vehicle from one of the members of Tonse. That must be understood. Once you understand that, you cannot say PF is dead. The membership under Tonse, a greater part of the membership under Tonse are all from the Patriotic Front. It served as an anchor party. Even when the party has been removed as an anchor party, the membership of Tonse is largely drawn from the Patriotic Front. And this is the position that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu left us with.
Then, as you as leaders of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Mundubile, you have taken up the role of Tonse Alliance as president now. What is it that you're going to do to ensure that everybody who claims to be loyal to President Lungu, the likes of Honorable Luwinda, Makebi Zulu as well, and Honorable Chawinga, who claims to be holding the papers of the party, what is it that you're going to do to unite the top leadership of the Patriotic Front and just make sure that everyone is under one umbrella?
Well, of course, I'm president of the Tonse Alliance now. One of my assignments, I've already started reaching out to other opposition political party leaders, including those of my colleagues that I'm with in the Patriotic Front. There's been no departure. This is what I want to insist. There's no departure from the original plan that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu left. Maybe to make it clearer, if we had allowed the elections or the Congress at Tonse to proceed without the participation of any of us from the PF, they would have still gone ahead to elect a Tonse president. And if, on the other hand, we later decided to elect a party president from PF, who would obviously not stand under PF, because by that, the UPND is still holding on to the PF, that president would not take over Tonse because of the resolutions of the Council of Leaders where PF lost those positions. If that were the case, that would have been betrayal. Because President Lungu's wish was that one of us, amongst the aspiring candidates under PF, would win the elections as PF president, but knowing that we were handicapped, knowing that PF would not be, would possibly not be allowed on the ballot, we then automatically ascended to presidency under Tonse. So it would have been total betrayal, because President Lungu's wish was that one of us becomes president of the PF and ultimately president of Tonse, so that we could help bring all the party structures countrywide together, bring other opposition political parties together at national level, provincial level, district level, constituency level, ward level, and section level. And that's the job that we are busy doing. We are bringing people together at all those levels Work has begun, and the response has been overwhelming. The response has been overwhelming in that there's been some inordinate delays, in resolving, first of all, the issue of the convention at the PF. There is no good reason anybody can give why there's been no conference from 2022 to date. Okay, when President Lungu came back to active politics, 2 years after he had stepped aside, in that 2 years, we failed to go for a convention to choose a leader, even when President Lungu himself was pushing that we chose a leader. From the time President passed on, people expected that we immediately swing in action and hold a convention and choose a leader. So if you look at Tonse, a decision was made, and within 20 days, a Congress was held, meaning that there's nothing very complicated and difficult about holding an elective convention, or indeed a Congress to choose a leader. The people in the leadership need to have that will to do it. If you look at, I hope you watch the videos of the Congress, it was excellently executed, a peaceful environment. Delegates who were there supporting different candidates existed in harmony. Why? Because the two competitors, myself and Professor Dan Pule, we set the tone. We were not enemies because we were competing. We had a chance to elicit, marshal the votes from the delegates, because we had access to all the delegates. We'd call them, those that were out of town, and ask for their vote, as it were. So we didn't become enemies because we were competing. So we hugged before the convention and also hugged after the convention.
I asked that question, Honorable, because Ambassador Bomba, on his program, is on record saying that decision that you took is illegal, and in his capacity, he's not someone that can support an illegal process. He says people even are attributing your decision at that Congress as the same thing that Honorable Mayo Sampa did in 2023. And they say there's nothing that is different from the decision that you've made now to be presidential candidate for Tonse Alliance, without carrying other members of the Patriotic Front along with you, so that you are speaking the same language. Ambassador Momba insists that this is not how things should have been done.
We would not limit our wisdom to that of Emmanuel Mwamba. Emmanuel Mwamba was a participant. Yeah, so his opinion should be respected. But when he calls the convention illegal, he should have gone further to court. I have said it to you. As a lawyer, I know what is illegal about a meeting. The manner in which it is called. Was the meeting properly called? You must ask a question to say, how different was this meeting from the immediate past meeting? Because it was called by the same person. Okay? So we deal with that. The issue of quorum, was there a quorum? A meeting is only illegal if it's improperly called. It has no quorum, or it was not chaired by the correct person. How else would that meeting be illegal? It can't be illegal because just because it's one member or some members of the council do not like the resolution that came out of that meeting. And these are the challenges that we faced in the PF. Because colleagues felt they should control, everything, micromanage the outcomes of meetings. Unfortunately, President Lungu's view was to say, can we come together with other people? If it were the issue, we've transacted business and a few things went wrong, but can we come together? Can we build capacity? Can we bring in new ideas of how we run things? And we went to a larger audience where other people were. Would you honestly believe that State Council Chifumu Banda will participate in an illegal meeting? Would you honestly believe Apostle Dan Pule would participate in an illegal meeting? Go and look at the whole list. There were 25 people present. And these are not ordinary people, members of parliament, former government officials, and so on. You can't compare what we had with what Honorable Mao Sampa had. Did Honorable Mao Sampa announce that he was going to have a convention? Certainly not. Did we have police from the state manning this particular convention? did Comrade Sampa's convention invite other participants to that convention? Were other positions also up for elections in yeah, it's unfortunate that colleagues are acting emotionally, believing that the people they are addressing cannot exercise their minds to the two processes. The process through which I was elected president was very, very credible by any standard. The meeting that gave rise to those resolutions was very, very credible and heavily debated. The meeting started at 18 hours. We only concluded that meeting at 23 hours. There was nobody who was in a hurry to leave that meeting, meaning that if colleagues that are now crying foul had bothered to come into that meeting, they would have presented their arguments. So as leaders, like I said earlier, we need courageous leaders, not leaders who always cry foul, run to social media to go and cry. Go in a meeting, face your fellow leaders and present your arguments. That's what leadership is about. Leadership is not about selfishness. Your views should be everyone's views. Go into a meeting. Try to persuade your colleagues in that meeting. Don't run away from the meeting and cry foul when the meeting has concluded. No, that's not leadership. I'll not be that type of a leader. I'm a leader who's going to confront challenges as they come. And if for some reason I lose that particular argument, I will admit, because that's what democracy is all about. Democracy is about the majority. Democracy is about the majority. I want you to know that in the Council of Leaders, we have 15 in the Council of 30 members. 15 are PF. How did we lose that argument? We lost that argument because some people are used to scheming. They're scheming all the time. You want to outdo the others behind closed doors. I believe in transparency. Be able to come out in a meeting and present your arguments. Yes.
2 questions before we open our phone line, Honorable. There's still, I think I asked you this question from our last interview, but there's still people who've insisted that you're a UPND project. Is that true?
That should be funny. And I think it's a tired story. If you randomly, I will just help you, randomly pick. There are people who are members of parliament and UPND projects, clearly, okay? Monitor their language. What do they say about President Hakainde Hichilema? What do they say about their policies? I want to challenge anyone to go to each and every interview that I've had, to each debate that I've presented on the floor of the House, at which point they felt I was compromised. I have said it in no uncertain terms. I have never asked for any favor from the UPND-led administration. I have never spoken to President Hakainde Hichilema privately, whether on phone or through a proxy. I have never sent a note to anybody to say, let the president do me this favor or that. I have never been a project. I'm a very principled person, my dear lady. Very principled. If there's anybody from the UPND side, if they're being sincere, that they will tell you to say, he can never be compromised, they'll first mention my name. I occupied the position as leader of opposition. Obviously, I would have been one of the highest targets. I stood my ground. I've always stood my ground. Up to today, I've stood my ground. People have come up with stories, threatening. No, you'll be arrested. We've got a file for you. You did this and that. I have told them that I've led a very dignified life. I've led a very dignified life, above board, and I cannot be blackmailed through such threats as, no, there is this that is coming and that is coming. I'm still here. I am still here. So I have never been a UPND project. I can never be a UPND project. And those people, I came to discover, as a matter of fact, the people that peddle those stories are supporters of people who are real UPND projects. We've just discovered now that some of these decisions that have led to the delays of conventions and everything is because some people have been compromised within the PF. We're only discovering now. So what they did was to put a smoke screen, okay, and throw some red herring. Oh, here's a UPND project. The people actually saying that should now be checked. People will be very shocked to discover that those are actually UPND projects. Not Brian Mundubile. Never. Not once. So some of these colleagues that have been shouting the loudest have gone behind to cut deals. Deals to kill Tonse, deals to kill the PF. We could not watch them do that as the Zambian people, wallowed in poverty, as the Zambian people continue suffering.
Are you able to tell us who these individuals are?
It's not necessary. I'm sure that when you look through activities of individual members, just profile each one of us. Profile each one of us. The question you must ask yourself through our activities and actions, whose actions would contribute to the growth of the party, the growth of the alliance, and indeed in support of our many suffering Zambians. If you got each and every name, all the names of the presidential candidates, begin to profile them one by one, I am very sure that my name will be on a very good side. I have stood for the people. I have fought for the people. I have fought with them from the beginning. Never a time would I have let the Zambian people down in that regard. I have fought for the party at every juncture.
Right.
Not many people are going to say that. I fought for the party. I protected the party through my decisions, through my actions. Not every one of us on that list is going to tell the same story. The majority actually fail to go through that test.
One last question now, Honorable. You maintain your position that you're still a member of the Patriotic Front. Yesterday, Honorable Given Luinda, Honorable Jean Kapata, Honorable Nkanduluo, and other members of the Patriotic Front did hold a press briefing in which Honorable Jean Kapata said that you expelled yourself from the party because of decisions that you've made, and one of them being that you're now Tonse Alliance presidential candidate. Do you agree that you self-expelled, you expelled yourself from the party?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's very difficult to respond to some of these things. I think people are getting tired of us. Even you should be getting tired of these stories around the PF. I've just explained to you, my lady, that I belong to this council of leaders. I've always been there. So maybe the question that you should ask, at what point did I stage my own expulsion? Was it at the time President Lungu appointed me to that council of leaders? President Lungu was part of Tonse. He was also PF. I'm part of Tonse and I'm still PF. So at which point have I expelled myself? Did I expel myself at the point that I accepted the appointment to that council of leaders? I hope I hope the people understand that. Mm-hmm. That council of leaders is like a cabinet, okay? You belong to that cabinet as a minister. Then because of the absence of the president in that cabinet, there's a vacancy. And ministers in that cabinet are invited to apply. And you apply to compete as president. So at which point do you cease being PF because you belong to that cabinet? Because you belong to that council of leaders? Or was it at the time that you accepted the appointment to that council of leaders? Or at the time that you now decided to vie for the top position? So what law would they be using? Because this is an alliance that we resolved as Central Committee to belong to.
Allow me to pick a few calls, Honorable Mundubile, as also we proceed with our questions. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you're through to the program. Tell us your names and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Andrew. I'm calling you from within Osaka.
Yes, Andrew.
Yes, this is Live Millennium.
You're live on, yes, the program is live on Millennium TV.
Good afternoon, President Mundubile.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I just have a few questions. My name is Andrew.
Yes, Andrew.
So you said that the representative from PF was supposed to be a candidate under Tonse. I just want to find out, because I think we have got about 10 candidates in PF who applied to be the flag bearer. There were about 10. How did you give yourself the mandate to go and represent a party that was expelled from Tonse by the Council of Leaders? They you're a member of PF. I want to believe you're a member of PF, Mr. Mundubile, right?
Yes, yes, I am, Andrew.
Yes. PF was expelled from Tonse. Right?
Ms. Andrew, please go ahead with your question. The Honorable will respond.
No, I want to have a conversation with Mr. Mundubile.
He will respond. We don't have enough time. So please ask your question. He will be able to respond.
Okay, so Mr. Mundubile is a member of the Patriotic Front, a senior member of the Patriotic Front. His party, the Patriotic Front, was expelled from Tonse. How did he find himself in Tonse behind the party and he found himself standing against the Vadani body? I think, me personally, I'm a bit disappointed, but it's not too late.
Thank you so much.
There's still hope. My appeal is for Honorable Mundubile to humble himself. Get back with the friends of them to pick up fire. As Honorable Government, who is the acting president of the party. Let them sit and iron out the differences. Let them take a leader. What Mundubile needs is just legitimate.
Mr. Andrew, thank you so much. Allow us to accommodate other callers. Time is not on our side.
It was maybe very important to tackle that. I think this is where I can see that.
All right. Allow us to take this call, Honorable. Allow me to just speak a few calls. We'll give you a chance to respond. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're through to the program. Tell us your names and where you're calling from.
You are speaking with Moses and I'm calling from within Lusaka.
Yes, Moses.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mundubile.
Good afternoon, Moses.
Yes, actually I've not paid much attention in regards to listening to what you have been saying and what you have been saying. But from the explanation you have given me, I feel like you are the right candidate, you are the right person, and you are doing the right thing. Because at the end of the day, Tonse was also at risk. Tonse would have been hijacked again, like just exactly the way you have explained. From nowhere, Chavinga would have come and say, okay, I am the owner of Tonse. Because the PF, of course, is the other political party. It was the right decision, Honorable Mundubile, to actually get PF out of Tonse so that at least the alliance can be free. Because the alliance at the end of the day was not free. It was full of langos from one lango to the other. And it was just bringing stagnation. There was no progress at all. I feel like you should continue, and the only thing that you need to do is to invite other, aspirant candidate from the PF to join you and actually, bring independence to Zambia, because Zambia at the moment there is nothing that is happening, to be honest.
All right, thank you so much.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Moses, for your contribution. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam, and how's the Honorable?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Please tell us your names and where you're calling from.
This is Francis calling from Mbika.
Yes, Mr. Francis, go ahead.
Yes, Honorable Mundubile, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Francis. How are you?
I'm very fine. I just wanted to give a comment. It's not really a question.
Please go ahead.
Yes, and an encouragement. Honorable Mundubile, don't waste time explaining why you went to vie for the position. The Zambia now needs an opposition leader to start explaining what they want to do for the people of Zambia. This is the right time. You have been given a mandate. You are a credible leader. At least the Zambian people have shown confidence in you. And what you can do now is to start explaining to people what you would want to do when you are elected as president. So there is no need for you to apologize to anyone. Most of the people will have a lot of talks here and there because they have also their interests. But you put the interests of Zambians first and continue campaigning and also giving the Zambians what you would want to do for them. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you so much, Francis. 0770813728 is the number that you're getting in touch with us on this afternoon on the program. Do go through, be part of the conversation. You can also find us on Facebook. It is Millennium TV Zambia. Good afternoon. Please reduce the volume on your TV. Hello? All right, 0770813728. When you call in, ensure that you reduce the volume on your TV so that we do not get any feedback and so that we can quickly have a conversation and accommodate other callers as time is not on our side. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. Will not hesitate to drop your call if you do not reduce the volume on your TV as you're calling us. I'm sure your phone can show when we pick the call. So please reduce the volume on your TV as you are calling through on the program. Hello, good morning.
Yes, madam.
Yes, Wazimuddin.
Yeah, honorable Machamabari.
Wino Bruno, Mulibanji Baba.
I just want to find out, hello?
Go ahead, Timvela.
Yeah. So, honorable, if I understand that which capacity I mean, campaign, more like what there is no way to campaign mayor ukambati kuno bana muzondani manje bakaenda kuja bamene hello
Wazimuddin Timvela.
Manje bakaenda kuja bamene mukambati kuno bana muzondani musapasi vote nanga bakaenda more like bakaenda western kuja maybe tukambati ndio bamene bana bandia kuchoka bati bana bazonda bazakaenda basenese language branch whereby binangu bukambati bana bazonda. So at least you are a mature politician, I like you, but don't bring you bani monga why start dividing in my politics here. One is
Wazimuddin, thank you so much.
I like you for your maturity.
All right, thank you. I'll pick two more calls and we'll close our phone line and then allow Honorable Mundubile to respond. The number is 0770813728. That is the number that you're getting in touch with us on. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Your names and where you're calling from?
Okay, I'm Isaac. I'm calling you from Kanyama. Good afternoon, Mr. Mundubile.
Good afternoon to you, Isaac.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, I'll be honest with you. My opinion is coming deep down in my heart. You know, last time what more somebody, whereby all of you people you are vying for PF president, you paid money, and then after him he staged a convention which was wrong, and I feel this is the same way this has been done. You know, sir, me I had so much trust. Even now, I've trust in you. You know, I know that you are also a former Kamara Secondary people. I'm also a Kamara Secondary people. I was even introducing you to my friends that, do you know, Brian Mundubile, they don't position. And this what happened, I was so much disappointed, sir. This is my opinion, sir. I feel that you should have worked together with even Ruvinda, you know. You need to work together. There's nothing like, you know, being too ambitious, you know. This country, what we need is, we need a leader who can develop this country. So when you're too ambitious, you know, it doesn't look good, sir. But yeah, continue what you're doing. This is what happened, and we have trust in you. Thank you very much, Mr. Noe.
Thank you so much, Isaac. We'll pick one last call. 0770813728 is the number that you're dialing this afternoon to be part of the program. Do call us and make your contributions or ask your questions. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, you're through to the program. Your names and where you're calling us from?
Mulishani.
Wino Mulishani.
Wino.
Abana nyamashina neko mletu mina?
Niba mwila elementi.
Mletu mina kuisaba mwila?
Aunga tuya.
Mkoi.
Mkoi. Tule randa paliwa Mundubile mkoi. Tualibate mwatana. So ngawa tulekeresha. Apaja wako tuwalaya.
Okay.
Mkoi.
Okay, thank you so much, Mwila. Okay, unfortunately, we have to close our phone line. I will allow Honorable Mundubile to respond to those few calls, and as we also wrap up with the program on the other side. Honorable.
Yes, I'll start with Isaac. Isaac, don't fear to be ambitious. Huh? There is no crime in being ambitious. In fact, as a former Kamwala student, I want you to be ambitious. You must aspire. You must come out of that cocoon and aspire. I expect you to be a strong guy because you're coming from Kamwala. Okay? Yeah, ambition is only bad if you're overly ambitious. The ambition is indecent. Like I explained earlier, what we've gone through is a very transparent process. I want to mix the answer with Kennedy. I think Kennedy was not very clear.
Zimundini?
Zimundini was talking about hatred, but there was before Moses, there was Kennedy.
There was Andrew.
Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, so Andrew, what must be understood is that without reading the original constitution of the Tonse, you always get this mix-up. The issue of PF as a party. Do you remember that at Tonse it was only President Edgar Chagwa? I want you to take you back. When Tonse started, it was only President Edgar Chagwa with other people. PF was existing as a political party. He began to pick certain loyalists and appoint them to certain positions. So Andrew, you need to understand that. I was one of those that were involved in coming up with the rules of engagement. So you must understand that from the beginning, PF as a party was not a member of Tonse. And the reason why PF as a party was not a member of the alliance was at the time of forming the alliance, UPND and Robert Chavinga. If in the founding documents, PF as a party was included, Chavinga as president of the party would easily come and start chairing the Tonse meetings. So the moment you miss that, you not understand what has happened. So along the way, a number of people, on account of President Lungu's travel to South Africa, began to migrate into Tonse. So more or less, the leaders that were with PF, when President Lungu was in South Africa, Comrade Pule was indisposed and he was in India. It was decided by the Council of Leaders that the acting president of the PF could come and act as chairperson for Tonse. And a number of colleagues, naturally migrated. So people could not really tell the difference between Tonse and the PF. But if you go to the original formation, President Lungu was we remained at the PF. He handpicked a few of us to join him at Tonse. When President Lungu was chairing Tonse, my dear brother Given Lubinda he was not a member of the Council of Leaders. Most of those colleagues were never members of the Council of Leaders. This you must understand. Yes, for you to fully understand. It was because Tonse as an alliance, there was PF on the other side. In the Tonse constitution, the membership was drawn from the ECL PF aligned members. So that should answer the question from the one who asked to say, how did you find yourself there? I'd always been there under that category. So the removal of PF from Tonse was not a removal of all of us. All of us that were loyal and aligned to ECL remained in Tonse. So the Congress was advertised. It was open to all political parties. There's about 10 political parties in Tonse, including the members of the ECL aligned movement were free to contest. So there was no sharp practice, Andrew. There was no sharp practice in the manner this was conducted. You should not even attempt to compare it to the Miles and Palette Convention at Mungu, which is very, very different at all. Because there were invitations, there were announcements that were made to say at the end of January, a Congress will be held where a president will be elected. And each one of the members of the ECA aligned movement, who are members of the PF also, there are very few people that were excluded from that particular definition. That must be understood. Almost everyone under PF, maybe Chavinga and his team, the 15 of them, would maybe the only ones that would be disqualified. So it was a tactful move by ECL to ensure that there's no contamination. Somebody doesn't come in with Mingala to take over Tonse. Yeah, so nobody was isolated. Honorable, for the information, Honorable Kafuaya is an aspiring candidate at the PF. I'm with him in Tonse. So it's not like you're shortchanged. There at Tonse, we had to agree as a PF movement, in order not to disadvantage ourselves, can we come up with a unified candidate? Okay? So it's somebody was appealing to say, but why did you leave your friends and go there? No. My friends were also there. Okay? Yeah, my friends were also there, but they decided I was fronted as a candidate. This must be made clear. I didn't spring out. My colleagues, Comrade George Sanga, Honorable Kampiongo, Davis Mwila, Mutoto Kafuaya, and many other leaders on the Council of Leaders decided to present me as a candidate from the ECO movement to compete with the other people. Yeah, so it was a very credible process. So Isaac wants to feel guilty about being ambitious. So Isaac, I've been in this journey since 2021, and this is 2025. Now, anyone planning for an election to win an election in August this year, beginning to do certain processes like choosing candidates at parliamentary, mayoral, and council level, we're actually late. You understand that? Yeah, we're actually late. We're actually out of time. We're actually out of time. So you Isaac, you must understand that we took a countrywide survey. I'm sure if you're following on social media, before coming up with these decisions, we'd been to Eastern Province, we went to Central Province, we went to Northwestern Province, Luapula, Northern. The call from the wider membership of the party was that there was need to choose a leader. When we came back, a date was chosen as 29th of November. The 29th of November, a week before the convention, the chairman of the party was dismissed, Secretary General. So it was very clear that there was no political will to hold this convention. So when an opportunity came to go to the Congress at Tonse, colleagues decided to present me as a candidate. I am now president of Tonse. So let's put all these squabbles, small squabbles aside. The biggest assignment that we have is what we're going to do for the Zambian people.
Honorable, sorry to cut you short. Allow me to just take at least 3 more calls before we wind up.
I hope, Larissa, we're talking about progress.
Yes.
We are not going to,
Good afternoon.
to be pedaling backwards on this. The Zambian people need to hear from us. Huh?
Good afternoon, sir. Tell us your names and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Kawimbe, Chanda.
Yes, Mr. Kawimbe.
Yeah, I'm calling within Legality.
Please go ahead with your contribution or question.
Yes, question for Honorable Brad Mundubile. Yeah, so far is a Tonse chairperson and the 2026 aspiring candidates for FDD. And then in Kasama, we saw Honorable Chifumpanda working with the Tonse Alliance under given win. So how are they going to work together? Because he has broken away from given win Tonse. Yeah. So in short, Vala Bombashani, because Bachumbanda, but Amoria Diavidi, Kuriba Mundubile, Nakuribe Naruvinda. So I think you people, they are just confusing Zambians. If they can't resolve the wrangles, it's better they join if already
Thank you so much, Mr. Chanda, for your contribution. All right, due to time, we'll quickly pick 2 other calls and then we'll wind up with our conversation with Honorable Mundubile. The number is 0770813728. That is the number that you're dialing to be part of the conversation. Hello, good afternoon. You're through to the program. Tell us your names and where you're calling from.
Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Amala Matias. Good afternoon, my president.
Good afternoon to you, Malama.
Thank you. Mine is just a congratulations message. Mr. President, don't even waste your time. Let's start campaigning now. Let's campaign now. We don't have time, Mr. President. We have no time. Let's not listen to these negative people who are telling you this. Forget about everything. We've moved on. Let's move on as PF. Whoever wants to join the movement, let them join BMH. We are here for you on the ground. Forget about what other people are saying. Whatever, Chief Chamusha and Chief President, so, Wakakamba, what Butina. Change the BMH in the Basiat. Change, let's not even this time. Change and bet for President. Please, we are with you, BMH.
Zipcom.
Thank you, brother.
Zikomo,
Thank you.
PS on 0770813728 is our number this afternoon for you to call through on, and we're going to pick one last call as we conclude with the program. Good afternoon, you're through to the program.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you. Your names and where you calling from?
This is Jim Hydre from Southern Province, particularly Zimba District.
Your name again?
John Hydre.
John, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Good afternoon, Honorable.
Good afternoon to you.
Actually, Honorable, stick to what you are talking. Put your manifesto ahead. Put it clearly to the Zambian people so that they can know what you are going to do about.
Yes. That's what I want.
Tackle all the areas of Zambia. Actually, we are in support of you people, what you are doing. Read those people who are in total confusion. Because English song, united we can stand, divided we can fall. Those people are divided. They are dividing themselves. So as for you to find yourself on a top position. So
John, thank you
make
so
sure
much.
All right.
All right, thank you so much. That wraps up our cause for the day. Thank you so much to everyone that has tuned in and everyone that has called through. Honorable Mundubile, I'll give you a chance to respond in 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I think to our viewers, what is important is that after all that is said and done, Tonse went through a very credible process. It held its Congress to elect its leaders. Out of that process, Brian Mundubile emerged as a president for the alliance. The first vice president is State Council Chifum Banda. The second vice president is Exilda Mwenya, Our Lady. And the secretary general is Dr. Zumani Zimba. So this team that I lead will now give a roadmap on how we proceed with the rest of election preparations. We will soon be calling upon applications for positions of members of parliament, mayor, and councillors. Like I said earlier, we are actually out of time. It should be noted that we have 226 seats. Given the passing of the new constitution, we have to consider over 5,000 councillors across the country. So this is a lot of work. I'm sure that even for those that thought there was a lot of time left before the elections, they would realize that certain decisions had to be made so that we are able to serve the Zambian people better. The message we got from the Zambian people were they were looking for a leadership that was going to ensure that they look at the plight of the poor, the plight of the farmers, the plight of taxi drivers, the plight of bus drivers, the welders in markets, saloon owners, the carpentry shops, and everybody else, including the small and medium scale businesses and small scale miners, as it were. Yeah, so colleagues have a lot of questions to ask concerning Tonse, but my advice to you is that take time, find the founding documents for Tonse so that you can clear your minds, because I'm now inviting all of you to jump on the boat. The boat has started moving. Going forward, support BM8, support Tonse. Tonse is the vehicle through which opposition unity to be achieved. The responsibility that rests on my shoulders as a president of Tonse is to bring together political parties in opposition, whether in other alliances or just independent political parties, to come together so that we present ourselves as a united force. You can tell from the results also from the past elections that clearly the UPND are performing very poorly, even in cases where they've emerged as winner. They are not getting the 58% vote, meaning that when the opposition come together, we'll actually get the required 50+1 to form government and be able to provide the leadership that this country needs. So I want to encourage all of you to put these petty squabbles, whether they're in Tonse, whether they're in PF, What I expect questions now coming from the youths to find out what this president will do for you when we come into power. I expect farmers to ask this president what he's going to do for them when we come into power. I expect small-scale miners. I expect mine workers, as it were, to ask how best we'll intervene to make sure that they have improved conditions of service, as it were. And to the business community, they should now start asking this president what he is going to do to the private sector to ensure that they're given opportunities to participate in the energy sector, in the mining sector, infrastructure, and many other sectors which are today dominated by foreigners. I want the teachers to come round and ask how we want to improve the education sector, how we want to improve the free education policy going forward. So that is what is expected, so that we don't start moving backwards. It's time for us to move forward and give hope. My job as president of the alliance is not only to head the alliance and bring the other parties together. I'm here to give hope to you, all of you that are watching, going forward. There's still hope at the end of the day. We're putting up a formidable team, competent men and women that understand this economy better, understand governance issues better, understand all the challenges that our people in compounds and villages are going through. So we are here to serve you.
Honorable, thank you so much. I know you've got a lot of things to say to the people of Zambia and those that are watching.